Hey, I hope this finds you doing well. Um, we are starting to see things open up a little bit, and actually even got the haircut Saturday and my beard trimmed, so I'm looking more human. First time in several months, and so that's all good news. We're looking forward to starting up having in-person services on the 31st of May and working to get everything all ready, but can't wait to start seeing you in person more and more as you feel comfortable. And let me just emphasize that before we get into the word, that there's always risk, I guess, in these kind of situations. So you pray and you get to the place where you feel comfortable joining in those services. Otherwise, you continue to watch online until you feel ready. But this morning, I want to talk to you about how we express the love of God. And 1 John chapter 3, verse 16 through 18 says, "By this we know love, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth." Well, the first thing that we see here is he says, man, we know love. By this we know love. And he describes for us agape. And the Greek word for the know there is gnosko. It's the idea of experiencing. So we experience God's agape because he gives himself selflessly and sacrificially for us. And we're called, if you remember, by Jesus himself, that we are known as his disciples because of our love for one another. He laid down his life for us, and the cross is the undeniable evidence that we have been loved by God. And then he goes on and he says, we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. So first he fills us with his own love, and then he desires to express his love in us through us. So it never just ends up about being all about us. It's not, the gospel doesn't lead us to a self-oriented life, but an others-oriented life. So we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. We who experience God's love and are infused with his love ought to express God's love. In verse 17, he kind of proposes a question after this. He says, but if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him? He wants to ask us a question. He's saying, you who are blessed, how can you possibly close your heart to the needs of others? And even these are maybe some of the most difficult, challenging times economically that I've ever experienced, still we must see, friends, that we are an incredibly blessed people. Someone asks me, well, why do you do all of those food programs for the lepers and the people in Sri Lanka and India? Well, this verse describes it for me perfectly, because even though there are challenges that I face and my family faces, and I'm sure yours as well, I still see how incredibly blessed I am compared to so many of my brothers and sisters in Christ in South Asia. And so we give them. Why? Because it's an expression of the love of God. We want to always proclaim God's love to the world, but there is a place, friends, where we demonstrate the love of God to our brothers and sisters in Christ, to those who find themselves in a place of need. Can we close our hearts against him? He's saying, this would be a freak of nature for those who are new creatures in Christ. for us to be generous, for us to be sacrificial, for us to give with hearts of generosity is only natural because God's love has been poured into us. Then he says, little children, you see, the thing that we hopefully live from is this identity as the children of God. We give to the church and to the missions and to the efforts outside of our own family. We give to these things as expressions of his love because we are his children. He tells us, love not in word or talk, because talk is cheap. He says love is more than a profession. Love is always expressed in action. The agape love that he uses here is always a selfless, sacrificial giving of oneself for the benefit of others. For God so loved the world that he gave. And what did he give? He gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And so we are called to remember and to live out, to be a people who love in deed and in truth. Remember this: God has filled you with his life. He's infused his life in you. He loves you, and the cross is the undeniable evidence of that love. And he's giving you provision, really, friends, that far exceeds our most basic needs. We are a truly blessed people. And he gave us this provision not just to build bigger barns and have nicer houses. He gave us this provision that we might express his love to the world, that we might allow him to live, to manifest, to express his love through us. And I want to thank you for how generous you have been with me to both the church and our missionary endeavors. I'm grateful for it. And it's you living out who God has made you to be. Hey, you have a great day and a blessed week, and I'll hope to see you soon. God bless.